Hey, how's it going? I'm Manana, and you're watching Tagged, Youreit. I think modern day dating is probably tricky. I'm not talking from experience, obviously, but I think social media and the cell phone has complicated a lot of things for a lot of people. I was actually talking to a friend earlier, just talking about how I think comparison has complicated a lot of things in life. And I think it's complicated dating quite a bit. We're able to not only see the person next to us, who lives next door to us, who we see daily, but we're able to see what dating looks like in Paris, in Australia, in Japan. And we want to take on other people's context into our own, and maybe we don't relate as well as we think. So I think modern day dating is probably more complex than it's been for our elders. Tricky. I think I have been called a romantic. So let me disclaimer this by saying, to each their own. I will say that I always do advise to throwing caution to the wind. I think that's the thing. Because I do think that obviously being vulnerable and honest in love is important, but also I believe in trust. So it needs to be with people you trust. I think it's in vogue to be led by your heart, but the heart can be deceitful. I'll just say that. I think you can get to a place of ultimate vulnerability, but I think it just takes time and proving yourself to be trustworthy to a certain extent. Yeah. 100% peace every day of the week. I am a peace and quiet kind of person, honestly. Like, not just in love, but in everything. I think peace is underrated. Yeah, so that's my very sweet and short answer to that one. Fireworks and sparks are overrated. I don't lie. I think they fleet, they go. Just like, actually, fireworks and sparks are the perfect metaphor to describe that thing. A firework goes up in the air, it pops, and then it dies. Do with that what you will. I think awards are great, and we love to receive them and get, acknowledged for our work that we put in. But to be honest with you, like, for me, the career itself, the success of my career won't be measured by the amount of trophies I pick up along the way. For me, like I've always said, consistent growth has been a #1 goal every year. The interactions with people and the effect of the music, I think, is the best award. I understand that, creation is, it's therapeutic for the creator, but I believe it's also a service to the community. So if people still love what you do and they still want to buy your tickets, still want to buy your merch, and still want to, relate to the work that you're making, for me, that's better than any Grammy or Sama or Swama, any real award, yeah. I think a lot of songwriters have been speaking around the practices in the music industry, especially related to the creators behind the songs. Yeah, and I actually watched the Money Long interview not too long ago, and she was speaking about like the treatment of writers and even producers, And yeah, I think obviously the achievement is the artist's achievement, the Grammy. Everyone involved helped the artist make their dream become a reality. But I think in general, most people couldn't be bothered about who wrote or produced the song, which is fine. But my bigger concern isn't even, like I say, the award. It's just around the treatment within the creation process of music. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think the music of Amapiano itself is great. Just like it's music, right? Just like how film and TV is great. I view consumption of music and art in general the same way I view series and everything else. So with the right content, everyone can get involved, but obviously the content matters, right? So there's certain songs that we all love and appreciate as adults that aren't necessarily for children consumption, if I can say it like that. It's the same thing with the movie, right? So all of us can watch a Dune or whatever else, but it's not necessarily for children. So the sounds, I'll try everything. Yeah, I guess that was, yeah. I'm friends with a lot of people with children, and I think everyone is kind of tired of playing Baby Shark, you know? So it's just an attempt to help people out. So the how Ruin came about actually was through a friend of mine and a guy that I admire, like a producer I really admire called Fields, right? He's the producer on the song. And he and I were going back and forth on DMs, and he actually came down to South Africa for a performance he had, right? And he was like, yo, bro, would you like to get into the studio after my gig? I was like, for sure, you know. He's like one of my favorite producers in the world. So yeah, we linked after his show, and we went to studio, and we wrote Ruin together, and he literally produced it in that session. And then, you know, I'd recorded a scratch, what they call scratch vocals, so vocals to write and, you know, have to listen and reference. And he was in Las Vegas whilst Usher was doing his residency there. And I was like, bro, I just played Usher Ruin, and he loves the song and wants it for his project. And who am I to say no to Usher, you know? So yeah, that's how that song came about. I mean, the issue is I have a timeline in my mind, but nothing ever really works out the way you have it in your mind. So yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing I mean, sure, I'd like to release it tomorrow, you know what I mean? But there's still label contracts to consider and other contracts really to consider before we actually can decide on a date. Yeah. Yes. I've been privileged, or been fortunate actually, that some of the stuff that we've been working on over the last year especially has caught the eye of some people I really admire. So yeah, we've got some really interesting artists, especially on this album that we're working on right now, that will lend their talents and magic to the music that we're making, and I'm very excited about it actually. Probably one of the few things I get excited about on that. Yeah.